I think sometimes recommend that people ought to join network marketing. If you're feeling lonely, if you started your own business, go find one of the optimistic and good ones that are out there, and make sure that they're having the book of the month, and they're having the different motivational groups, and they've got somebody to mentor you. It is powerful. Welcome to Networking Star. I am your host, Jeffery Boyle, and here on Networking Star, I interview some of the most interesting people, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and people that just improve our lives. And today I have one of those people, Carey Conley. She's an entrepreneur that's on a mission to save the lives by helping youth, adults, and parents to decipher their life purpose and vision. Carey, thank you for being with me.
Well, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
So we've met through Instagram, and I've read a lot of the different things that you're putting out. And one of the things that was really interesting and very, I guess, more than interesting, fascinating to me is this, I guess, mission that you're on to be able to bring vision and goals to youth.
Right. Yeah. So I've been teaching vision to people for well over 30 years. It was just a big thing. When I was in my late 20s, Jeff, somebody sat me down and said, look, you can create your life to look like however you want it to look. You just have to get really clear on what that is. And nobody had ever told me that. You know, I was taught, like we all were, to go to college, get the good job, and work your way up the ranks. And that's how life works. And I did not do that well. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what. And so I sat down. And this was, again, well over 30 years ago. And I got really clear on what I wanted my life to look like. And because of that, things started happening for me, and I was able to jump into becoming an entrepreneur and stay home while we were raising our kids. And I ended up teaching that vision writing exercise that I did for myself to other people. Unbeknownst to me, I did not realize how many people did not have a vision for their life, especially entrepreneurs. I found out that most of them were kind of winging it and running really expensive hobbies, right? So I ended up coaching a lot of entrepreneurs, but within the last 9 years now, I've lost 2 family members to suicide. I lost my husband in 2014, and then also my 25-year-old son 3 years after him. And because of that, I am very, very aware of what's happening with our youth and our young adults right now, with depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, suicide. It's no secret to anybody what's happening there. And so I am on a mission to help them create a vision, a strong, powerful, inspiring, purposeful vision for their life.
Well, I remember when I was, I think, 14, one of my good friends' older brother committed suicide. Depression, anxiety, and all of that has been around, but it seems like it is more prevalent now than it has ever been before. This generation that is getting out of high school, and even in high school, it seems like it is a pandemic, of just the depression and anxiety. Why do you think that it is so open now, and that it is such a dominant part of growing up?
Yeah, there are so many factors that are feeding into this. A lot of it has to do with how very visual our lives have become for each other. With social media, the internet, all the things, we didn't have that when I was growing up. And so there wasn't as much, I think, comparison. I don't think there was as much pressure in school to excel in every area so that you could get the right college degree and the right job. I think our educational system really needs a lot of tweaking and a lot more emphasis on mental health and raising children to understand that they can follow their own authentic path and not what everybody else wants them to follow. I just think the pressure has become huge. And also there is a factor that they've gotten really good at hiding how they feel. We make things look so pretty on social media, don't we? And we just can hide things very well. Obviously, my husband and my son were very good at hiding the depth of their feelings from us because we were very shocked by both of their deaths. I think not only you were mentioning this happening in high school in young adults, but if you Google the ages now, you're going to see statistics starting as early as 5 years old. I found that when I was doing some research about a year ago, and I just got so emotional. So yeah, there's just a lot happening right now and a lot of changes that need to be made.
That's pretty scary to think about it, that they're starting to feel at the age of 5. And you go into any home of a 5-year-old and you'll see that a 5-year-old has more access to information, more access to the internet. Their ability to jump on a device and get where they want to go is crazy. They're
Right.
crazy efficient with it.
Yeah.
I had never heard of that at the age of 5, them starting to feel the anxiety. And I was even surprised at some of the people that I know so well to find out that they were dealing with anxiety.
Right.
Do you think that because this is becoming more and more open, do you think they're finding more ways, some of the teenagers and young adults are finding ways to be able to cope with the anxiety that they didn't have before?
I think on the positive side of this, because we are becoming so aware of this, that there has been a huge amount of emphasis on mental health. As a matter of fact, I'm aligned with a couple of organizations that have now created curriculum to bring into the schools to the kids to teach them about vision and purpose. I actually flew home a couple days ago, and on the flight next to me was a high school psychologist, and she was talking very openly about the places they're putting into the things they're putting into place for the kids to be able to have a conversation 24/7 with anybody when they need to talk, and that nothing is taboo. There is no judgment. So I think a lot is happening. It's just going to take a while to turn some of this around. And unfortunately, a lot of what's happening is they're being raised. Some of these kids are being raised with adults that have mental health issues that they're working through. Right. So yeah, there's a lot of focus on it right now, which is good. So a lot of people are working on changing the trajectory.
Well, and I think that what you said right there is pretty key, is perhaps a lot of people from the non-millennial generation have experienced it, and maybe it just was a taboo. It wasn't discussed. It was just the conversation of rub some dirt on it, go out and make it work. And perhaps it's a lot of their counselors perhaps had never had any proper training for it. So it's a crazy deep topic to be able to go into. You also talk about the vision that so many entrepreneurs have. Entrepreneurs have a very high case of mental illness. The percentage of mental illness among entrepreneurs, we're very creative. Oftentimes we spend too much time alone because you start a business, and being an entrepreneur is very lonely at times. Discuss a little bit of that, of the mental health with entrepreneurs, and how you've been able to assist with that as well.
I'm so glad you're talking about this, Jeff, because it is a big thing. So I have two different paths of being an entrepreneur. My first path that I jumped into was in the industry of network marketing. And when you are in a really good company in that industry, you are surrounded with a tribe of people that are going to pour into you, teach you, educate you on what you need to do. They're going to handhold you through the whole thing. So I was really used to that, and I got a lot of love from a lot of really awesome people that I'm still connected to. But then 10 years ago, I decided to step out into creating this curriculum around vision, teaching it to people outside of that industry, and did not realize how lonely that was going to be because I didn't have that community, right? So I had to go seek that out. And I think that is a really important point to make. And I talk about this all the time with the entrepreneurs that I coach, is that you have to be plugged in to a tribe of people that you can talk to on your good and your bad days. They're going to, remind you how awesome you are. They're going to believe in your vision, like these people did for me. Because there are days, especially when we isolate, where we start to think, we get in our head, which is not a great place to be for most of us. Because we start doubting what we're doing. We start having imposter syndrome. All of the unfortunate negative things pop up before the positive. So you've got to be in a great tribe of people.
You talk about network marketing. When I was a sophomore in college, I joined Amway. And one of the best things in the world about network marketing is what you talked about, that tribe of people. It is built to mentor people.
Right.
And, so many times people fail economically at network marketing because it's not easy. You've
Right.
got to acquire a lot of skills, and oftentimes income claims are misrepresented and things like that. But the value in network marketing truly is that tribe. It is
Yeah.
very, very difficult for people to be able to find a group of people more optimistic, more helpful, and more vested just because of the way the compensation plans are set up to be able to help you do it. And as a result of it, I built a very long career within network marketing. And now as a traditional business owner, there's so many things from that network marketing lifestyle and the mentorship that was provided for it that I really try to build into my other businesses,
Yep.
because it really can be very lonely. How is it
Yep.
that you think, like I say, it's interesting you talked about it. How are you able to take some of that tribe and that mentorship and that love and the support that you learned from network marketing and incorporate it into other aspects of your business?
Mm. So when I stepped into speaking and teaching on vision, I aligned myself with my first business coach, who had already created a year-long coaching mastermind, a group coaching. And because she had already created all that curriculum, Jeff, and it was so good, I just became like a partner of hers, like what's the word I'm looking for, like an affiliate, right? So she created a tribe of coaches that were all doing the same thing. And so I had that tribe that I plugged into. But then when I brought people into coaching, they came into a group situation. So I would bring them all together once a month for 3 hours and do their training together so that they would have that community, right? I can one-on-one coach somebody, but I prefer to bring them into a community of other people that are working through the same things they're working through, so that they can see that they're not doing things wrong. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not failing. They're just working through the journey. So a lot of that tribe feeling that was exemplified for me in network marketing, I could apply it into what I was doing with that group, and just show them how to lift each other up, and, collaborate. Some of them ended up doing business together. It was awesome. A lot of leadership. I learned a lot about leadership and good leadership in network marketing that I was able to apply when I was coaching these people, and still do, which is a big part of what I want to incorporate into this young adult community I want to grow.
Well, it's certainly commendable, and it's the kind of thing that I think sometimes recommend that people ought to join network marketing. If you're feeling lonely, if you started your own business, go find one of the optimistic and good ones that are out there, and make sure that they're having the book of the month, and they're having the different motivational groups, and they've got somebody to mentor you. It is powerful.
It's very
Let's talk a little
powerful.
bit more about. It's kind of thing that for me, I think it's been invaluable. Even the list of books that they recommend, everything from The Richest Man in Babylon to How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Magic of Thinking Big. All of those were the type of things that they really help you feel good about. And I think that as network marketing proliferated, sometimes some of that system of what they called it, what it really was is a support system, a mentoring system. So explain to me a little bit about, if you were a brand new entrepreneur, maybe you don't want to get involved with network marketing because there's lots of different opportunities to be able to join now. What do you tell that brand new person to be able to stay optimistic and to be able to have the success mentally so you can start to have the success financially?
Yeah. So when I do my workshops, I teach people to have a really powerful written vision as if it's 3 years out. So I get them to literally date a piece of paper or journal or whatever 3 years from that day, and to start thinking about how old they're going to be, how old their families are going to be, their family members are going to be, and then to think in every area of their life. And I now have a tool in a company I refer people to actually do this digitally. It's called ULA. All the F's, right? Your faith life, family, friends, fitness and health, your finances, your field, which is your career, and your fun. And to literally take some time and write out in great detail what you see that looking like as if it's 3 years out. And the reason I have people do that is because every hurdle that I came across, especially when I was building a network marketing, because there was a lot of personal growth to be had, right? so
Coming
many
from
times.
the failure. I mean, there's nothing that pushes that quite like the failure and the disappointment to need that, right?
Right. So, all the rejection. My family thought I was crazy. The woman who actually sponsored me into my first network marketing company died unexpectedly 6 months later. Teams that came and gone. My husband was not a fan. All the things were against me, right? But the thing that kept me going and the way that I kept getting into my office every day to do what I was supposed to do activity wise that I was being taught was my vision was bigger than the hurdle. So that's why I'm so passionate about vision, is because that was always my little shining light of hope. No matter what was going on right here in the day, I knew where I was going and what I was creating and why. And that's a really big thing that I teach people right now is if you're finding that you are inconsistent, you're stopping and starting, you're losing your mojo too easily, you're letting all the things get in front of you doing what you know you need to do, most likely it's because your vision's just not big enough. It's got to override everything.
Well, explain just a little bit on that, because I agree with what you're saying. Why do you believe it is that the vision is so easily lost? And we can get biblical here, where
Sure.
vision and faith is lost.
Sure.
But why do
Yes.
you believe that people lose their faith so easily in themselves and what they started off to do?
Well, number one, we are our own worst enemies. So the big thing that we have to really become aware of is what we're saying to ourselves all day long. You listed a really good list of books, but another really good one, of course, is Think and Grow Rich. It's
Sure.
all mental. When you really come down to it, it's really never your outside circumstances that are causing you to stop. It's all what's going on up here. And so the biggest thing I had to learn, another really good book, is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Becoming aware of what are you saying when you talk to yourself, because most of us aren't aware of how negative we are to ourselves. And so we have to become aware of what we're saying. And the very first thing we have to go to work at is changing those thoughts, which is super hard work, but it can be done. The brain can be rewired, right? So we have to go to work at that. This is where affirmations come in, journaling comes in, mantras. So that's the first thing, is we've got to become aware and start working on changing the thoughts. And the other thing is that you've got to make sure, again, going back to the community, that you are in a tribe of people that are those voices that remind you how great you are, what your vision is about, what your big why is. It's really, really hard when you are trying to change your own negative thoughts to do that, when you are surrounded with people who are enforcing the negativity, right? So
Yeah, I
we've
think that's
got
the
to,
big one. Is who you're surrounding yourself is so important. Even
yep,
how we started this, the mental health, being around naysayers, especially when you're trying to accomplish something, is so acidic and so detrimental to your success.
yeah. I do an exercise called the front row, Jeff, that I've taught to thousands of people. And it's the one thing out of everything I talk about, I get the most feedback later on from, was when they come to me and they say, that front row thing really hit me. And basically what it is, I get them to visualize that they're standing on a stage and they're looking out into the audience. So
Mm-hmm.
there's rows of seats, right? And then I get them to think about the 5 to 10 people that they spend the most amount of their time with, and to rank how those people make them feel. Not rank them as a person. This isn't a judgment thing. It's just, how do they make you feel on a scale of 1 to 10? The 9s and 10s, of course, are those people I'm talking about that, can lift you up, bring you up, remind you how great you are. They're a little bit further ahead in the journey than you. So they also become a mentor. You can imagine the 1s and 2s are the complete opposite. You could feel like a 9 or 10 that day, but you spend 2 minutes with them and you feel like, a 1 or 2. So
You're done.
you're done.
It's exhausting.
So what we have to do is take a look at the front row. And let's say in the front row, there's only 5 to 10 seats. The only people who should be in the front row of your life are the 9s and 10s. And a lot of time when I get people to do that list and they start seeing how many people they have too close to them that should not be there, they have to make some adjustments. Sometimes not easy to do.
Let's talk about those adjustments, because the adjustment, that's tough. When you tell
Yes.
somebody, especially if it's a spouse, especially if
Correct.
it's a dear loved one, a child or a parent,
Yep.
how do you make that adjustment?
Yeah. I've had to do all of it. So As I mentioned, when I stepped into network marketing, my husband was not a big fan and my family thought it was crazy, Um, I had to come to realize that my vision was my vision and they couldn't really see what I could see. So it wasn't that they were trying to be negative towards me to make me feel bad. They really thought that I was doing something that was going to be harmful to myself or to my, they felt like they were protecting me. So we have to kind of look at where are they coming from their own vision. And then I had to get to where we just had to agree to disagree. This was just a topic that we just were not going to talk a lot about. I just put boundaries up around it, right? If it was somebody that I could remove from my life, like a friend, I just slowly but surely just stopped communicating as much as we were. A lot of times when you start personally growing without you having to say or do anything, it will organically just kind of dissipate on its own. If there's a conversation that needs to be had, it can be done in a very loving, respectful way that doesn't cause any problems later on. Like I had a client at one point that needed to remove her mom from her life for a little while. And she just lovingly went to her mom and said, I'm doing some personal work on myself right now. So I just need a little space for a little bit. Right. So it can be done.
How did that go? How did that go to tell the mom that?
She actually understood, instead of this woman going to her mom and saying, hey, I don't like how you treat me or how you do things towards me in front of my kids. That would have put a very big defensive mom mode up, right? Instead, she just put it on herself and said, I need this space for me right now. And I love you. I just, don't take this personally. I just need a little space. And so she got the space she needed. And her mom kind of figured it out and came back around later and said, I totally get what you need now. So, yeah, a lot of times it just kind of takes care of itself, really. When you stand your ground and set your boundaries, people get it.
It's almost like a natural selection of people not being around you because all of a sudden that chemistry of negativity is gone.
Exactly.
To finish off, please explain, kind of what you're talking about. If you find yourself being a 2 or 3 on that scale of happiness or positivity, how do you then make that massive jump up to be one of those kind of people that gives rather than takes back and you're a 9 or a 10?
Yeah. A lot of gratitude. I do a lot of gratitude journaling, and I highly recommend it. That even if you can only find 2 things in your day to be grateful for it with all your heart. I have a lot of faith, and I can tell you do too. So I lean very heavily on my faith, especially after going through what I've gone through the past 10 years. I don't know where people would be without it, not knowing that there's something greater and a bigger plan. And I do remind myself that these things too shall pass. Right. And always, 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 there's always somebody that has things worse off. And if you feel like you are just too down all the time, go volunteer somewhere and get somewhere where you can see how good we really have it. Right. We just have to get outside of ourselves.
I think that is as good as anything. And oftentimes when you're having a pity party, there's almost nothing better than to spend time with some people that have less than you. And there's always going to be people that have less than you, especially when you live in first world countries the way that we do.
Yes.
And anytime, you hear some of that complaining, just think, gosh, you need to spend some time in this country or that country that I've been throughout the world. But super grateful to have you with us, Carey. Please tell everybody where to find you.
Best thing is my website. It's just careyconley.com. You can check out everything I'm doing there. And also I think there's a link that you can sign up to get on my weekly email. So that's the best place to go. And thank you for asking.
Yep. Well, you're doing great stuff. And I say the youth and what you're trying to do to be able to give them the vision and the things that you even have on your Instagram of some of the testimonials and the different people that you share their comments. It is as a parent of 5 and not a grandpa yet, but a parent of 5, you look at this generation coming up and they're going to be the ones that are going to be the leaders, and they really are powerful. And to be able to empower them the way you are, I appreciate what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate you giving me a voice here today. Thank you.